There comes a moment in every human life when the mirror feels heavy to look into. A moment when you feel cracked, worn down, maybe even shattered by failure, loss, rejection, or your own mistakes. And in that moment, a dangerous question whispers in your mind, is this who I am now? Today, I am here to tell you, no matter how broken you believe you are not finished, you are not done, you are not beyond repair. Breakdown is often mistaken for failure, for an ending, for proof that something went wrong beyond repair. But in truth, a breakdown is not the destruction of who you are. It is the exposure of what no longer works. When something collapses, it reveals the weak structures, the false beliefs, the habits that were never aligned with your highest self. Nothing breaks apart without teaching you something, and nothing falls away unless it was unable to carry you forward. What feels like loss is often life-clearing space for something stronger to be built. Think about how growth really happens. Muscles don't grow when they're comfortable. They grow when they're torn and forced to rebuild stronger than before. The same law applies to the human spirit. Emotional pain, failure, rejection, and disappointment all create fractures. But those fractures are not signs of weakness. They are signs of stress being applied, and stress is the precursor to transformation. Without pressure, there is no expansion. Without breakdown, there is no breakthrough. When everything seems to fall apart, you are handed raw material. You gain clarity you never had when things were easy. You begin to see what matters and what doesn't. You discover who stays and who leaves. You learn where you compromised your values, ignored your intuition, or played small to be accepted. These realizations don't come during success, they come during collapse. That is why breakdown is not a curse, but an initiation. Most people try to escape their breaking point. They numb it, distract themselves, or rush to rebuild the same life that already failed them. But real power comes when you lean into the lesson instead of resisting it. When you ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of, why is this happening to me? The entire meaning of the experience changes. Pain stops being punishment and starts becoming instruction. The strongest versions of people are not formed by comfort, applause, or ease. They are forged in moments when everything familiar disappears and only character remains. When your old identity no longer fits, when your excuses are stripped away, when you are forced to confront yourself honestly, that is when you gain access to your true strength. Breakdown humbles you, and humility opens the door to growth. What you rebuild after a breakdown is never the same as what existed before. It is more intentional, more grounded, more aligned with who you really are. You stop building to impress and start building to endure. You don't just patch the cracks, you redesign the foundation. And that is why the moment you think you are falling apart may actually be the moment you are finally being shaped into something extraordinary. Your past is often treated like a cage, one that locks you into the mistakes you have made, the failures you've experienced, and the pain you've endured. But the truth is, your past only has the power you give it. It does not define who you are unless you allow it to. Every thought, every memory, every regret is just information. It's data, not destiny. What matters is not what happened to you, but what you decide to do with it. The people who rise, who transform, who rebuild themselves are not those who deny their past. They are those who refuse to be controlled by it. Every choice you make after a setback carries more weight than any event that came before. You may have been hurt, betrayed, or even failed spectacularly, but those experiences do not create your identity. Identity is not inherited. It is created moment by moment, decision by decision. You might have a record of errors, but you also have a record of possibilities, and it is in the deliberate choices you make today that your future is written. To live as if your past defines you is to give your power away. To live as if your decisions define you is to reclaim it. Consider the way people reinvent themselves. No one starts over because life erased their history. They start over because they refuse to be ruled by it. A failed business does not make someone a failure. A relationship that ended painfully does not make someone unlovable. A period of fear or weakness does not make someone incapable. These are chapters, not definitions. And each chapter only has authority if you allow it to dictate the story. Choosing to step forward, choosing to act despite fear, choosing to believe in possibility. These are the acts that shape who you truly are. The moment you accept that the past is a teacher rather than a jailer, you begin to reclaim your life. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every hardship becomes a signal pointing to strength you didn't know you had. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to redirect your energy towards something greater. Nothing you have experienced can take away your ability to decide who you will become next. You may carry scars, but scars are not chains. They are reminders that you survived, and that survival has meaning only if you build upon it. Freedom from the past is not found in forgetting or pretending it didn't happen. It is found in the conscious choice to act, to rise, to rebuild yourself from this moment forward, using everything that came before as fuel rather than limitation. The power of your life is not located in what you endured, but in how decisively you step into what you are creating now. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Most people see it as something to avoid, a signal that life is turned against them, or a burden that weakens them. But pain is not your enemy, it is a signal, a guide, and when harnessed correctly, it becomes one of the greatest sources of power a human can access. Every moment of discomfort carries information, every struggle contains opportunity, and every wound holds the potential for transformation. Pain is not meant to be ignored or feared, it is meant to be converted into momentum. Think about the way energy works. When pressure is applied to any system, it responds, sometimes by breaking, but often by becoming stronger, more resilient, more efficient. The human spirit functions the same way. Emotional, mental, or physical pain is pressure on the system of your life. If you fight it, resist it, or run from it, it can crush you. But if you engage with it consciously, it becomes fuel. Pain is energy in motion, and energy, when directed, can create extraordinary results. When you allow pain to teach you rather than defeat you, it changes the very architecture of your being. You start to see what matters most, what you are willing to fight for, and what is worth letting go. You discover your inner resilience and the depth of your own determination. Pain forces you to confront truth about why, ourself, about others, and about life. And truth is the foundation of power. Without pain, many people drift through life on autopilot, unaware of the forces that could push them to greatness. Harnessing pain doesn't mean glorifying suffering. It means extracting the lessons embedded within discomfort and using them as leverage. Every setback, every heartbreak, every moment of fear is a signal to grow, to adapt, and to push harder than you ever thought possible. The most powerful people are not those who have avoided pain. They are those who have faced it head on, allowed it to transform them, and then used that transformation to take massive, focused action. Pain is also a clarifying force. It strips away illusions, excuses, and distractions. When you are hurt or challenged, life becomes simpler in a strange way. What is important rises to the surface, and what is trivial falls away. You begin to see the difference between what is temporary and what is essential. And once you recognize that, the energy that once felt destructive can now propel you forward, shaping your character, sharpening your focus, and igniting a determination that cannot be extinguished. The truth is that no one can live without encountering pain, but only those who choose to convert it into power will rise above ordinary existence and craft lives that are extraordinary. Identity is not a fixed state. Many people walk through life as if who they are today is who they must remain forever, as if their habits, failures, and limitations are permanent labels etched into their being. But the reality is far more liberating. Identity is something you can rebuild, reshape, and redefine at any moment. It is not tied to your history, your circumstances, or even the expectations of others. Identity is a living, evolving construct, and the moment you decide to take control, you can step into a version of yo, or self that aligns with your highest potential. Most people underestimate the power of choice in shaping who they are. They believe identity is something that is discovered, when in fact, it is something that is created. Every decision you make, every action you take, every belief you choose to hold or reject contributes to the person you become. The decisions you made yesterday do not dictate who you are today. You are not a product of your past, you are the product of your decisions in the present. When you consciously decide to take ownership of your identity, you open the door to transformation. Rebuilding yourself requires courage because it demands that you confront the parts of yourself that no longer serve you. Old habits, fears, self-limiting beliefs, and patterns of behavior must be examined and, when necessary, discarded. This process is not comfortable. It requires honest reflection and relentless commitment. But it is only through this kind of self-reconstruction that you gain freedom from the identity that was imposed on you by others, by circumstance, or even by yourself. You begin to understand that you are not defined by what you endured, but by how you respond, how you grow, and how you choose to move forward. When you rebuild your identity, you align your actions with your values and your vision. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. The process is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about peeling away the layers that were never truly yours and uncovering the authentic self beneath. Every choice, every step, Every small act of courage reinforces the new identity you are creating. Over time, what was once unfamiliar becomes second nature, and your external reality begins to reflect the internal transformation. This truth is empowering. No matter how lost, broken, or defeated you may feel, the ability to redefine yourself is always within reach. You do not need permission, validation, or approval to rebuild who you are. All that is required is the decision to start, the commitment to persist, and the willingness to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. Identity is not a cage, it is clay, and you hold the tools to sculpt it into something stronger, more resilient, and more aligned with the person you are destined to become. Commitment to change is the single most powerful force in the process of rebuilding yourself. Many people wish for transformation, hope for better circumstances, or dream of becoming someone stronger, wiser, or more successful. But hope alone is not enough. Without commitment, intentions remain fleeting, goals remain unachieved, and potential remains unrealized. True change is not born from desire. It is born from an unwavering decision to act consistently, regardless of fear, doubt, or past failures. Commitment is the bridge between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. The first step in genuine commitment is clarity. You must define not just what you want to change, but why it matters. Without a compelling reason, it's easy to revert to old patterns, rationalize inaction, or settle for mediocrity. When your purpose is clear, commitment gains momentum. It transforms from a mental concept into a force that drives behavior, shaping your daily choices, your priorities, and your response to challenges. Commitment transforms struggle into opportunity because every setback becomes a test of your resolve rather than a reason to quit. Sustaining commitment requires discipline and persistence. Change is rarely instantaneous. It demands consistent effort over time. Habits must be reshaped, beliefs must be challenged, and patterns must be rewired. This process is uncomfortable, and the temptation to retreat to old ways is constant. But the person who remains committed does not rely on motivation alone. They rely on decision, on principle, on a refusal to settle for less than their highest potential. Commitment is what allows someone to keep moving forward even when the path is steep, the progress slow, and the results not yet visible. Another crucial aspect of commitment is personal accountability. Rebuilding yourself is not about blaming others or waiting for external validation. It is about taking full responsibility for your life and your actions. When you commit fully, you accept that your circumstances do not define your destiny, your choices do. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration that you will no longer be constrained by the past, by fear, or by doubt. Commitment also inspires momentum. When you decide to fully invest in your growth, your energy, focus, and actions begin to align. Opportunities appear, challenges are met with resilience, and your confidence grows because you see tangible results from sustained effort. The act of commitment itself becomes self-reinforcing, creating a cycle of progress, growth, and empowerment. Ultimately, commitment to change is not a temporary state. It is a lifestyle, a declaration, a refusal to allow circumstance, fear, or history to dictate your future. It is the foundation upon which every breakthrough, every reinvention, and every act of personal transformation is built.